welcome to NAPOD, where we provide NA speaker meetings and workshops in a podcast. We are an ad-free podcast, and if you enjoy listening, please help us to be self-supporting by visiting napod.xyz, look for the donate link, and drop $1 or $2 in the virtual basket. If you're also in AA or have friends that are, please tell them about our other podcast, Sobercast. Sobercast features AA speakers and workshops in the same format as NAPOD. We upload a new speaker every day, and it's easy to subscribe by searching for Sobercast, that's 2 words, on any podcast player app, or go to Sobercast.com. Enjoy the podcast, and thanks for listening.
A little bit about Dan's story, just because I was part of, he was part of my story. My very first Narcotics Anonymous meeting, I don't know how I looked, but they all knew that I was new. And Dan had taken time out from his life, and on a Tuesday night at 8 o'clock, he showed up, and not only did he stay for the meeting and do whatever we do, but he waited until after the meeting. He waited his turn to get at me, because I was new. And he had already gone outside and taken up a collection from people who were smoking, I guess. And he bought a book from the group, and I have the same basic text that Dan got for me that night. Not only that, he gave me his phone number, and he made it okay for me to call him, because, if someone just throws you a list, he's like, right, I'll call. But he made it okay for me to call him, and somehow the next day I was in his car going to my next Narcotics Anonymous meeting. And I got in Dan's car, and it was clean, man. He had the right, smooth music going, and it smelled good inside his car. And I don't know anybody that had a nice smelling car. We were all, garbage heads, and Dan impressed me so much by being, he 12-stepped me, He made it okay for me to belong to this thing. He told me about the meeting before we went. He said, I know you're probably really sick, so I'll show you where the restroom is if you need to go. He just made it okay for me to get across that gap, And Dan is still around a lot of years, and he has teeth. He didn't have teeth when I met him. And I just love this man, and I don't get to see him. I'm so glad he's here. Here's Dan.
Yeah. I'm ready to call Dan.
Hey, Dan.
And, basically, what I did for J-Mo, it was done for me. And that's how we pass it on. We can't keep what we have unless we give it away. And it's not a physical concept, it's a spiritual concept. I remember asking my counselor, wait a minute, hold on, let me get this straight now. You mean tell me if I got $5 and I gave you $3, I'm still gonna have $5? Keep coming back. Okay, alright. I kept coming back, and I found out what it meant, that we can't keep what we have unless we give it away. Another old timer. And my clean date is January 7th, 1989. I just celebrated 24 years. When I got here, I was like J-Mo, and I had 6 months clean out of a drug and alcohol cell after being in the prison for 3 times, looking to go back to prison for a 4th time. And when I got here, I was still this big. I had to walk I had a 45-degree angle and a 5-mile-an-hour wind to keep from getting blown down. That's how light in the ass I had gotten. I'm 6'2" and I was 127 pounds. Now I'm stabilizing at 220. You know. Back then I was eating out of dumpsters, sleeping where I could. Now I sleep in my own house, and I eat what I want. It's a big difference. You know. You think that we can't do it, and come to find out that we can do it, and furthermore that we are doing it, and we are changing. Change is inevitable. Suffering is optional. You don't have to suffer anymore. Talk about work the steps or die, motherfucker. You know. They put that on there and never, you know, work the steps or die. You know, take the cotton out your ears and stuff it in your mouth. Don't say a damn thing because you don't know what you're talking about. Just sit and listen. Sit and listen. I hung around this place for about 90 days before I started sharing. Once I started sharing, you couldn't shut me up. Because I had so much gratitude. I had so much gratitude. I remember when I picked up my first year medallion, my aunt, who was adamant about me not ever going to straighten up, started telling me that I was looking good. You know, you're changing. And I said to her, I know. As I was walking out the gate, she says, where you going? I said, I'm going to a meeting. I became a part of this area when it first split. When I got here, it was one big area. Broward County was one area. It was Gold Coast. And a year later we split. And we became South Broward. Now we got another area, Mid-Atlantic. There's no saying that if you don't like what you hear, you don't like a meeting, you don't like who's in the meeting, buy you a coffee pot and start your own. Yeah. As long as you don't hurt, harm, or cross anybody, and it's not detrimental to Narcotics Anonymous, and you're not violating any traditions, that's fine. And many of meetings has gotten started that way. Many of meetings. When I got here, we had 5 meetings. 5 meetings on the east side. None on Saturday, none on Sunday. None on Friday and none on Saturday. The Sunday night was St. Maurice, which has been here a very long time. Monday night was the Painters Union Hall, which is on Johnson Street and 22nd Avenue. Tuesday and Wednesday nights was St. John's, where the Jubilee Kitchen was, where I used to eat. No eating over there. I used to fatten up just for a little bit so I can get back out there. And then Thursday nights was back over to Painters Union Hall. Friday nights we started a meeting called Free to Choose at on Van Buren Street. At the church on Van Buren in US 1, we started a meeting at Free to Choose. We started a meeting there in Doctor's Hospital. We started a meeting there on Saturday night, Living Miracles. Then we had 7 meetings. But my counselor, just in case you don't know, or you have, you think, or you have a little bit of idea, this is a program of dope fiending. Sometimes you get asked to speak, sometimes you get told you're speaking. Sometimes it's like, hey, I'm picking you up, we're going to a meeting. Sometimes it's, I'll call you, you need a meeting. Sometimes it's, I don't feel like it, you're going anyway. This is a program of dope fiending and 12-stepper. And this is what we do for each other. I didn't even go and pick up a medallion this last Friday night at my home group. And my sponsor called me and said, You know, I know you're not using, but I'm just calling to tell you congratulations anyway, yo fucker. You know, this is the relationship that we have. You know, he's been my sponsor since I had 3 years clean. I've had the same sponsor ever since. But this program has literally saved my life. It's literally saved my life. When I didn't want to go anyplace else, when I wanted to go someplace else, I came here. I can remember one night, I think I had about 10, 11 months clean, and I walked from the pouring down rain from my house, from my grandfather's house where I lived, in the pouring down rain from Dania to Johnson Street. And I got there, when I sat down, water just dripping off me. I'm safe. I'm in a meeting. I'm safe. I'm not using. The guy on the right of me, he leaned over and said, "Boy, you sure fucking committed. Boy, you want to stay clean bad, don't you?" I looked at him and said, "You're fucking right." Because I had this fear. I had this fear of using. I had this this apprehension of, if I went in a certain area, I was tempted. So I stayed away. It's one thing that my counselor told me that stuck in the back of my head. When you feel like using, do something different. And it may sound funny, but what I did, I started eating ice cream. And when I leave here tonight, I'm going to Publix and get me a half a gallon of ice cream. I have a fast metabolism, and I eat ice cream every single day. I've been eating it every single day since I got clean. Every single day. My disease, when it found out that I definitely didn't want to use it anymore, it stopped coming at me that way, and it started coming at me in different ways. Because see, this thing manifests itself in so many different ways. Now, I eat like a pig. I tell my wife sometimes, you know, Debbie, I think I'm going to stop eating before I hurt myself. Because that's all I do. I done put down the spoon and picked up a fork, and I can't seem to put the damn fork down. But I have a fast metabolism, you know. Some people think about food and they get big, you know, not me. I think about food, eat food, and I'm okay with it. You know, but when you feel like doing something, when you feel like getting down, getting high, do something different. Just do something different. And we bring about the death of our using. We bring about the death of our using. And we grieve that. We grieve that so much that, bless you, that sometimes we say relapse, but it's see, I believe if I change my perception, I change my reality. So I choose not to look at it as a relapse. I choose to look at it as going out and doing some more research. Because what you've learned doesn't change. The only thing you change is your clean date. You see, you gotta watch out for that there, because these doors swing both ways. And just because you go out don't mean you're gonna come back in. Being around for a while, I've seen a lot of people, I've known of a lot of people who have gone back out and died. One in particular, I want to talk about two in particular because they had a lot to do with my getting clean. When I was incarcerated for the last time in the drug and alcohol cell, H&I used to come in and bring in meetings. And there was this one guy's name was Gary. And Gary used to say, "I'm here to tell you that you never have to use again, one day at a time." And Gary was one of those, he went back out. I had just celebrated 12 years, and Gary went back out. He was coming up on 13 or 14. I think he was coming up on 13. He went back out and he OD'd, he died. He died. And that was kind of devastating. But the first guy who died, who helped me get clean, his name was Charlie. And we used to call him White Chip Charlie. Because he could never seem to stay clean. The longest Charlie was clean was like 18 months. Charlie had put together 9 months, he'd relapse. He put together 3 months, he'd relapse. Charlie would come in and said, you could stay clean if you did 3 things. You went to meetings, pray, and no matter what, just don't pick up. Now, I took to heart all 3 things that Charlie said. I went to meetings, I prayed, and I didn't pick up. No matter what. No matter what, just don't pick up. Strange concept. If you don't pick up, you can't get fucking high. What a damn concept. Yeah. I went to a meeting one night at St. Maurice, and Charlie was sitting down there because I hadn't seen him for a while, and he was sitting down there. Charlie had done lost about, ooh boy, like he just like shrunk. And I said, Charlie, what happened, man? I said, Dan, you know what happened, man. You know what happened, man. Charlie got clean. He stayed clean for 90 days. He went back out. He got clean again. Next thing you know, Charlie was dead. And Charlie used to always tell me, when I talked to him that night, he said, now you see why you don't put people on pedestals. And most of us do that when we get clean and we see people that's got a little bit of clean time. Because, see, it's beyond concept. This son of a bitch got 5 years, you know? It's like, damn, how the hell he do that shit? Then all of a sudden, relapse. That just crushes your whole world. And I tell people all the time, don't put me on a pedestal. Because I'm just an addict trying to stay clean a day at a time. I tell people all the time, if you look at a clock with a second hand, that second hand moves tick, 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 tick. That's how we stay clean. Second at a time. Because sometimes a day at a time, or just for the day, seems like it's too long. For me, it did. So I had to break it down. I had to break it down to an hour at a time, a minute at a time, a second at a time. And when I got that urge, I went and bought me a pint of ice cream. I can remember walking down the street sideways, going to the other side of the street while a dope man was sitting on the trunk of a car, telling me I got those boulders big as your shoulders. I said, yeah, well, you go ahead and you put them motherfuckers on the shoulders then. Put one on each shoulder so you could balance yourself. And I'm walking sideways going to the store to get me a pint of ice cream. You know, it's very hard. It's very hard. I don't know about you guys, but it was very hard for me not to pick up. My first 18 months, every night I had drug dreams. Every single night. I had drug dreams. We have a street over here. It was 22nd Avenue. Now it's Ely Boulevard. I lived on 7th Street. When I left 7th Street, I came down Pippin Road, or I went over to 23rd Avenue. I would not come down Ely Boulevard because I knew if I came down Ely Boulevard, the chances of me buying a piece of rock or crack, the chances of me buying a rock was accelerated. So I wouldn't come down that street for like 14 months after I got out of jail. I wouldn't come down that street. I made it a point not to go around places where the shit was. No. I made it a point to go around places where the shit was. Not to go to the places where the stuff was. To go around and make sure I don't give myself that opportunity. Because my way of thinking, oh, maybe I can do just one. Who's gonna fucking know? You can't dope fiend a dope fiend. Somebody walk in this door right now and been using, every last one of us can look at them and say, yeah, they fucked up. But that's alright, welcome. Come in and sit down. You might hear something that might click. No. And, the other guy that used to talk about staying clean, his name was George. I never knew what happened to George. And when Charlie and Gary died, George moved. I never knew what happened to him. But George used to say, I remember the first time I met him, he said, my name is George. I'm an addict. And I'm here to tell you that you never, he just said the same thing Gary said, you never have to use again. And I'm in the back, standing up outside. We in jail now. I'm in jail now. And I looked at him. He's got his gold on, his clean clothes on. And I looked at him and I tell him, I said, well, that's easy for you to say, man. You know, you coming here, you smiling, you got on clean clothes, you got jewelry on, and for all I know, you might be the one supplying this facility with drugs. He smiled, looked at me and said, and he said, keep coming back. And I looked at him and said, where the fuck am I going? I'm locked up. You keep coming back. And he kept coming back. He kept coming back. I left there, went to prison for the first time, got out, got busted, went back in jail. Before I went to prison for the second time, George came in, still bringing the meetings in. Went to prison for the second time, came back, got out, got busted, went back to jail. George was still bringing the meetings in. Went to prison for the third time. Got out, got busted, went back to jail. George was still bringing the fucking meetings in. And he looked at me, he said, you know what? You know I know you. So, you took my advice and kept coming back, huh? You know, so yeah. Yeah, I'm here, goddammit, I'm here. But the last time I got busted, I was looking at, and this was January 89, and I was looking at mandatory 5 years, because the Habitual Offender Act just came out. And I was looking at 5 years, because I had been down twice within 5 years. As a matter of fact, I had been down 3 times within 5 years. Because each time I went down, I got a year and a day. I never did no serious time, but each time I went down, I got a year and a day. And I remember like it was yesterday. You know, let's see certain things as addicts that we never forget. We never forget our clean date. We never forget where he was when we got busted for the last time. I'm thinking about how I'm going to beat this rap. And when I got busted and went to court for the last time, the judge told me, well, Dan, and I said, Judge, Your Honor, I said, with all due respect to this court, I said, I'm not a criminal. I'm a fucking drug addict, and I need some help. And he says, are you serious? I said, yeah. And he was fucking with me because my counsel had already wrote him a note, a letter, to tell him not to send me to prison, but to keep me in the drug and alcohol cell. Now, the infamous Nick Navarro, for those of us who know who he was, used to manufacture the crack, put it on the streets, and then bust your ass when they sell it to you. You know, this is what Nick Navarro did. But in an effort to get reelected, he started these 2 drug and alcohol cells. One ran by a psychiatrist, and the other one ran by an addict. So my counsel was an addict, and she wrote the judge a letter. And I told the judge, all due respect, you know, I'm not a criminal, I'm a drug addict, I need some help. So he says, I'll get back to you. And anybody who's been arrested knows you come in there 6 at a time. Everybody got time. Everybody. One dude got 25 years. And the least amount of time was 10 years. And I was going to get 5 years. And so he got back to me last. And he said, well, I am going to remand you to Broward County drug and alcohol cell for a period of 9 months. And I said, well, Judge, you know, can we drop it down to 6? He said, well, if you can't do the 9 months, we can always send you back to Trip. Before he could get sun out of his mouth, I said, but I can live with that. I can live with that. So I did 6 months on a 9-month term in this drug and alcohol cell, and that's where things started to change for me. That's where things started to change for me, and I felt safe in there, because I was safe in there, which when I got out, that I had to put all that stuff into practical application. See, we learn what we need to stay clean in the first 90 days. The first 90 days you come around here, you learn what you need to stay clean. The rest of it is just practical application. You learn what you need to stay clean in the readings, who, what, why, how. You know, all you need to know to stay clean in those readings. The rest is practical application. I came here and the first thing I did was I opened up this book, and I just wanted to read one paragraph to you, and I think that you can relate to this here, because it was such a reality check for me, because each time I got out of prison, I did the same thing, thought I did it a little differently, but the end result was still the same. Now, we always hear about insanity as doing the same thing, expecting different results. But that's not insanity. Insanity is doing the same thing, knowing what the result's going to be. That's insanity. You know, if I leave here now and go out here and get all high up and do the things that I used to do, I would end up back where I was when I got clean. And would be just as none of these 24 years never existed. But this is what I want to read to you. And it's out of step 6. It's out of step 6. It's the second paragraph of step 6. It says, do we really want to be rid of our resentments, our angers, and our fear? Many of us cling to our fears. We cling to our fears, our doubts, our self-loathing, or our hatred because there is certain distorted security in familiar pain. There is certain distorted security in familiar pain. It seems safer to embrace what we know than to let go of it for the unknown. And this was my problem. I did not want to let go of what I know. I did not want to let that go. I wanted to keep that. I wanted to have my damn cake and eat it too. And that shit just don't, it just do not gel. It don't work. I had to let go. I had to learn to let go. I had to learn to let go and let God. I remember asking my first sponsor, how do you let go and let God? How do you do that? And he took his car keys and he gave me his car keys. He said, now hold your hand out. He said, now close your hand. He said, turn them over. Now open your hand. He said, it's just that easy. It's just that easy, but it's hard to do. Narcotics Anonymous is a simple program, but it's not easy. It's hard because it takes a lot of work. So I thought I had him. I said, you know what? Okay. I got something for you. I always hear, don't leave 5 minutes before the miracle happens. When is the miracle going to fucking happen? I said, Dan, how long you clean now? I said 13 months. I said, see that the miracle already happened in the past year? Yes, back. You got to learn to realize when the miracle happens. And guess what, people? The miracle happens every day. Every day we wake up and don't use, that's a miracle. Every day we go through and put our head on the pillow at night, that's a miracle. Miracles happen every day. Miracles are still happening in my life. My counselor came to see me pick up my 1-year medallion. I told her, I said, you see what she done did? She said, I didn't do a damn thing. You did it. You did it. She said, now it's time for you to give it back. I said, give what back? She said, give back. I was so freely given to you. She dope feed me in doing H&I. But you know what the funny part about it is? I liked it so much. I liked it so much that I took a 6-month commitment and I did it for 18 and a half years. I took a 6-month commitment and did it for 18 and a half years. Bless you. And I stopped doing it. The only reason I stopped doing it is because I started my own business and I couldn't get there like I used to, like I supposed to. Because if I could have got there like I was supposed to, I would still be doing it now. But I had to give it up. I had to give it up. And then I started doing something else. I'm still on the spiritual journey. I'm still on the spiritual journey. My higher power, who I choose to call God, has led me down a different path. It's my higher power that kept me doing this meeting for 18 and a half years. And when I had to give it up, he said, okay, Dan, well, now it's time to do something else. So I joined the church. And make no bones about it, religion has nothing to do with it. It's all about spirituality. See, because religion is for people who don't want to go to hell. Spirituality is for people who already been there.
That's right.
And everybody in here done been to hell. You know? You want to find Narcotics Anonymous, go to hell, turn left, and it's the last house on the fucking block. That's where Narcotics Anonymous is. I have been full of gratitude from day one, and especially when I woke up in July of 1990. It's like in the middle of July of 1990 when I woke up and the obsession to use was lifted. It was just gone. It was gone. Then I started obsessing on other things. And one of the things that I obsessed on was doing my H&I meeting. That's one of the things that I obsessed on. I didn't ask people were they going to speak for me. I told people, you're going to speak. Oh yeah, and by the way, you got to pick me up because I ain't got no damn car. Did you know that we are some of the smartest people in the fucking world? If we take 1/10 of that knowledge that we use to getting high and circumventing and getting by the man, take 1/10 of that there and put it towards staying clean, we'll be successful. I know a lot of successful addicts. And I know a lot of addicts who were scared of success. They went back to that familiar started pain. I know for me, I thought that time was going to stand still for a minute. And next thing I know, I'm picking up 10 years, 12 years, 15 years. People telling me, God damn, boy, you got more time than fucking dirt. Never once did I think that I would become an old timer. I never thought I'd become an old timer. And then people started calling me an old timer. It's like, God damn. So, and then I realized, you know what, Dan? You are a fucking old timer. You've been around a long time. I have never been on a job this long. I've never been on a job this long. Some people have been on a job 20, 25 years, 30 years. I've been a member of Narcotics Anonymous for 24 years. 24 fucking years. That's a miracle. That is a miracle. And I still have the same drive now that I had when I got here to make another year. To make another year. All that shit that comes in between, I won't deal with that. I'm going to make another year. There's a little story. Just a little short story. They don't shut the hell up. You know, there's this big ass hole in the sidewalk on the side of the road. Lady and her son is walking down, and her son falls in. And people are walking by, and she's crying out for help. She's crying out for help. Can you please help my son? Can you please help my son? The doctor came by, and can you please help my son? The doctor couldn't help. He couldn't figure it out. He didn't know what to do. Lawyer came by. He didn't know what the hell to do. This addict came by. Can you please help my son? This addict jumped down in the hole. Helps the son out. Then she looks down and she said, well, how are you going to get out? He just looks at her and said, don't worry, I'll take the steps. I'll take the steps. And that's how I got where I am today, taking the steps. I've seen this fellowship change. I've seen this area change. I've seen myself change. I've seen people change. And when you see somebody change, you're changing because you have to change in order for you to see somebody change. And that's the beauty of this program. That's the beauty of this fellowship. The beauty of this program is that, believe it or not, it's flawless. The program is flawless. The fellowship has a lot of flaws in it. That's why we have the traditions, you know. The steps help us not to commit murder. And the traditions help us not to commit suicide. So, y'all figure it out. Thanks for listening.
The basket.
Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Please help us improve our ranking so others can find us by putting a review on Stitcher, iTunes, or your favorite podcast index. Nawpod is ad-free thanks to the folks supporting the show with $1 or more per month. If you enjoy listening, you can join them by going to nawpod.xyz and looking for the donate link. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.